important to oppose the far right in the street. If we don't do it now, we're going to end up, unfortunately, like America, like Turkey, like India, places that have been overtaken by fascists. It is now the easiest it will ever be to defeat the fascists in the UK while they're still on the streets, before they're in the halls of power.
People like Tommy Robinson, with Elon Musk saying that he should free Tommy Robinson and he's just a journalist. He's not a journalist. He is a product of just this horrific, fascistic, racist system. He is a mouthpiece for the most reactionary, for the most violent, for the most bigoted, for the most ignorant sections of society. He represents the very worst of Britain. He represents everything that we stand against. Tommy Robinson, and I'm saying this to the camera, Tommy Robinson, you fascist cowards, how dare you, how dare you, how dare you try and make a statement here with your supporters? How dare you bring up those thugs, those criminals, those, can I swear? Okay. Those pricks, those wastemen, those dickheads, the lonely, they're so dusty. I bet their bum smells.
I'm a Celtic fan, Irish Republican socialist, so oppose fascism of any kind.
Do you think it's important for football fans to come out to events like this and show that they're not like Tommy Robinson?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Because I suppose there's a misconception. Obviously, I look a certain kind of way. People, if I didn't have a Celtic top on, might assume I was with the other lot,
Yeah.
I'm a white. I've got a cross and a skinhead on my forehead. You know what I mean? So if I wasn't a Celtic fan, people might assume I was. But football lads and lasses against fascism. So
Elon Musk is literally the very worst of everything that's happening in our society right now. This is a multi-billionaire who is pointing down or punching down at black and brown people and migrant communities, at working class communities. Now we know that is being driven by Donald Trump, but over here in the UK it's being driven, yes, by Tommy Robinson, but also again by our government, who aren't explicitly driving those things. But we heard Keir Starmer say that we had lost control of our borders, something that is completely untrue. We hear him say that he wants to stop the boats. He's literally the Prime Minister. If we wanted to stop the boats, we could have legal and safe routes. So those are the way to do it. So I think these demagogues, whether they're Elon Musk, whether they're Nigel Farage, or whether they are cheered on by a government refusing to stand up against the racist right.
In the 1930s, there were a lot of fascists, but they didn't all get on with each other. Now, unfortunately, they're very good at getting on with each other. Elon Musk can support Tommy Robinson. Trump has good relations with the fascists in Europe as well, but the problem is what gives them fuel is the really feeble approach of the centrist politicians, who don't speak to people's needs, don't help people solve their problems. And when the fascists say stop the boats, a Labour government says stop the boats as well. And people are looking for answers. They're not finding it in the conventional politics, so they become prey to the real grifters and exploiters like the Farage and Tommy Robinson, who are only in it for themselves.
At the moment, Nigel Farage is trying to appeal to be an electoral force, and not to be associated with the boot boys and the far right. If we can make a wedge between him and Tommy Robinson and the real, the far right fascists, this is good, and it's a way of splitting their movement. We have to capitalise on that. The fact that Elon Musk is trying to put pressure on Nigel Farage to say, yes, I support Tommy Robinson, is actually forcing apart their movement. So I think we have to be hard on the Reform Party. They are a nasty far-right party. We have to be harder on Tommy Robinson and the boot boys on the far right.
There's lots of signs here against Donald Trump. Do you think that Keir Starmer should welcome him for a state visit?
He's going to come anyway. Right now, he doesn't need to be welcome. He's going to bully his way through anything he wants to. And, it's sad that the young people think that just being really basic and having no analytical skill is straight talking. It isn't. It's like being basic, no analytical skill, and just being a bully.
No, absolutely not. Now, we see this kind of politics from the so-called sensible centrists that is about welcoming fascists into our country. And essentially, that is what Donald Trump is. We've had someone on his stage giving a Nazi salute. Now, I know that he says he didn't do it, and we've heard people supporting him, but he's never refuted it. And, you know, I'm not being funny. If I was being accused of being a Nazi salute, the very first thing I would do is get to a microphone as soon as possible and go, I'd be mortified. I would say that is absolutely not what I was doing and be very clear what I was doing. We've not seen any of that. And, you know, with Donald Trump, I don't think we need to give him the benefit of the doubt. This is a man who has openly mocked disabled people, who has already set... He's not even being vague or not transparent about what he wants to do. He is very clear about what he wants to do. And what he wants to do is 21st century fascism. So to see Keir Starmer welcoming that with open arms, for me, it's not diplomacy.
Obviously, the Green Party is a natural home for a lot of young progressive voters, but we've seen a rise in young people moving towards parties like Reform. Why is that?
It's really worrying to see that Reform are attracting young people, and I think it's because young people often have the most to lose at the moment. They look at what their prospects for society look like in the future, and they're seeing a pretty bleak future. We've got Keir Starmer banging on about growth. But the real question is, who is this growth for and how are you measuring it? And I don't think young people necessarily want to see the growth that Keir Starmer is pushing forward, where it's BlackRock and asset management. So I think the one thing Reform have really got right is to analyse the problems. The problems right now are that this growth is not going to be spread among our community. Of course, the solutions that Reform are offering are completely the wrong solutions. They're the solutions of fear, the solutions of hate. And we all have a job, whether it's the Green Party or the wider movement, to put out a real vision that is about hope, but also pragmatism. So it's about offering people the real solutions, so it's tangible to people. Now, we do have a harder job than Reform have. Reform can do easy solutions that are based on lies and aren't based on facts. So for the left, there's a harder job, basically telling a really compelling story that is based in truth and data.
Have you heard of the Joe Rogan pipeline? Yeah, so for example, I think, myself, I do wrestling, and I go gym, and I can see I'm getting targeted through this cultural pipeline that anytime you go gym, you get targeted by those podcasts that are talking about like gym stuff or about wrestling or combat sports, and automatically it's going for the far right at the end. So for example, Joe Rogan used to be very centrist, and now he's gone completely like pro-Trump, and he completely assumed it, completely said it on his podcast that now he's a Trump supporter. He said it just before the election, and I think as the left, we've got to invest that cultural field as well. We've got to make the left cool. We've got to defy stereotypes about the left that, you can do combat sports as well and be from the left, or you have to create a feeling that the left is cool, and I think that's how you're going to conquer younger people.